Everybody, welcome into another edition of the GASOCast. Episode 37 now we're at. Still right in the thick of things with district races happening up with huge results coming in every Tuesday, Friday, and if you're in Houston, Wednesday and Saturday now too.
Yep.
I mean, Blue, go ahead and start us off. We got a quick thought with the SPC State tournament. It's almost here.
I mean, we're looking at less than a month, about 4 weeks away, February 8th through the 11th. SPC State tournament will be at Cistercian High School and at Greenhill, with Greenhill hosting the championship games. And, I mean, that's, that knocks out a chunk of teams right there that as we head into February and all the playoffs start for everybody else.
Yeah, and just looking at those standings, of course, in the North Division, Greenhill's undefeated, Oak Ridge is undefeated. We talked about Oak Ridge a little bit last week. St. Mark's is still undefeated. And in the South, obviously, Episcopal, who you're going to talk about a little bit later on in the show, John Cooper School and Houston Christian also undefeated. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out when that state tournament comes up here and we get to get eyes on it.
And I'll be seeing Greenhill and St. Mark's this Friday as well, so be excited to see that.
Matchup,
Absolutely.
Two undefeated teams. Moving on to commitment.
Well, first,
Go ahead.
you're wearing the
Go ahead.
cowboy hat. Does that say 2023 Super Bowl champ on
I
it?
was going to save it for the hot takes, but
Let's get it.
we got two words for you out there.
Dak Prescott?
Rain Dakota Prescott.
That's three.
Moving on to commitments and signings. One notable signing, Cooper Gracey out of 2A LaPoynor. Saw him at the state tournament last year, and the way Coach Reed's got him playing this year, odds are we're going to see him again, signing with East Texas Baptist University. Congratulations, Cooper, on that. A little house cleaning as we move on. This week in the newsletter, we will be debuting our regional power rankings. Going to list the top 5 as the way we see it, teams in each region, and that'll change from week to week, obviously, as results come in. But
And a lot of work is being done behind the scenes with rankings, and Lyndon leading the charge with that. It's pretty fun to see kind of this come together.
What about your haters that get mad at rankings?
They're
it means they care.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute. If they care, all they have to do, I think, is spend like 15 cents per issue or something ridiculous. $14.60 for the newsletter per year.
If you're going to
48
subscribe,
issues.
I'll let you say whatever.
Yeah, if you subscribe, you're allowed to quote to whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, we got to see that subscription
We'll quote
first.
Tree back. Thank you for reading.
Yes. And then, obviously, next week and the week after, we're going to start really focusing in on those 2024 and 2025 player rankings. You can expect to see those out in the newsletter probably early next month.
February.
It's going to be fun. There is so much in the 2025 class, especially, to weed through. So many guys to just see where they stack up. And then that 24, there's a lot of movers.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who, if they were in the 40s or 50s this last time, I mean, we could be talking about top 25 kids at this point. There's a lot of stock risers that we've seen over the last year or so.
Sorry, but I think that giving too much away or not, I mean, you're thinking about maybe put a little film session together as we're
so
talking. Is that something we're going to do?
Yeah, we will be recording what it looks like in our war room, so y'all can get a real behind-the-scenes access of kind of how we talk through rankings. Have some respectful disagreements and kind of see what that part of the GASO looks like. So
no crying this time.
Me and Blue will get heated at some point.
Yeah.
Lyndon, you're wrong.
I know.
As usual.
All right, moving on to some coaching milestones. Jeff Clarkson at Prestonwood brought home win number 400, and Kimble McHone at Boerne, another top 10 team in 4A, with win 500. Congratulations to both of y'all.
And just a quick little tidbit. I was on the phone with Jeff Clarkson this morning. He called me. I congratulated him. We kind of went back and forth about talking about some things. But those 400 wins also come with a couple years. He reminded me of 5 wins here, 7 wins there. It spans over 20 years, I think, of his career. But, he's joking around how when he fresh as a head coach, he's, late 90s, early 2000s, he's over there scheduling Duncanville and DeSoto, and he's over at Garland naming Forest, and he's like, I don't know what I was thinking back then, but it's led to some really good wins.
Battle tested.
So congratulations, Coach.
Yep. So now on to the main part of our segment. We got big implications to lead us off. Blue, you were in Frisco last night with a huge. I mean, Frisco Memorial needed that.
They
win.
needed it bad.
Needed
yeah,
it bad,
facts.
and got it against previously undefeated in district Frisco Liberty. I think number 12 in our rankings are the ones we just posted.
Yes.
I mean, what did you see from that game? What's the implications?
Sense of urgency, which I was really liking. It was one of those games that's on the fence, and you're looking at Memorial going, they're 1-3 in district. They're hosting Liberty, who was 4-0, and maybe thought about walking away from that game. I was like, you know what? If there's going to be a turnaround, it has to start today, or they're just going to back themselves deeper into a dark corner.
When you say walk away from the game, do you mean get there just I decided to leave after the first quarter.
There was a couple
yesterday was a hot night for
Tuesday.
basketball. For sure. So
So going out there, just being able to see the sense of urgency and how everybody's playing. I'm pulling something up here as I'm talking. But Drew Steffi came out, 35 points. Leon Horner comes out and hits it 24, 25 of his own. They're clicking. They're playing defense. They're playing hard. The crowd's getting into it. The crowd's shouting at the coaches, which, I don't know if we need to do that or not, but there's just so much going on each side, and a lot of intensity, a lot of back and forth, the leads changing and everything. And I think also Liberty had a sense of we can kind of back away, get the Memorial Warriors off of our backs, because they're a team that can really turn things around and cause a lot of disturbance in that district right now as they're fighting for that third or fourth place. They can very easily turn around with their talent and move forward. So
yeah,
it was a very, very good game to watch.
And Timmins, we were just talking about it. I mean, Region 4s look like Boerne Champions region, basically on
5A,
paper all year in 5A. But last night we got a shift in that in a big way.
Yeah, so when we talk about big implications, last week, you're starting to, we see these districts take shape. That's a lot of the bulk of what these GASOcasts are. We're starting to see the picture kind of being painted even more. Last week, what did I talk about? Westlake, Lake Travis, and
Buda Johnson.
Yep. This week, it's Veterans Memorial, San Antonio Veterans Memorial, San Antonio Wagner, and Boerne Champion. So, Veterans Memorial beats Wagner. Mm-hmm. And then last night, Devontae Durst, who I'll speak on later, hits a big-time shot for San Antonio Wagner to beat Boerne Champion. Now, we're going to see on Friday, Boerne Champion and San Antonio Veterans Memorial play each other. So, we'll kind of get that picture painted there. But big game. Once again, another district where if you advance to the playoffs out of this district, you're going to be pretty battle-tested.
Yeah, for sure.
So, exciting to see how this district continues to make shape.
Yeah, and another district that we've talked a lot about, 6-5A. I mean, God bless the 4 teams that make the playoffs out of this group, because it is a gauntlet every night. I mean, didn't look like they were taking control at first place, and they get set back at Richland last night by 17 points or so with Rucha and Xavier Payton going crazy again. Mass talked about them last week. Birdville beat Ryan in overtime. They've got Garrick back. They could be dangerous. Grapevine, Colleyville Heritage has lost 3 in a row now. With Grapevine beat them. Grapevine's, I think, taking first place in sole position up there. I mean, it's just crazy how any given night, any one of these teams can take somebody to the wire. I mean, right now Argyle's out of the playoffs, even though once they get Jason Dempster back, I think that they'd be considered one of the favorites to make a run during the second half of this. But almost swing.
They won last night. That almost felt like a must win.
Yes.
It's crazy that we're still in January and there's a lot of must wins. That's how tight these playoff races and district races have been.
Sure. So now on to our GASO Gossip segment. And I'll lead off here because I got this GASO Gossip from none other than Sam Lowe, GASO president, about the play of Tarrance Warren at Arlington Sam Houston. Sam Houston, they've already got 20 wins for the first time in a long time, and it's a lot to do with the play of Tarrance Warren. I saw him over the summer. Was a huge fan of his with Texas Swish at our live period in July. The kid is just a bucket getter. I mean, there's no frills, bells, or whistles about it. He's getting downhill, and he's making shots. And he's been doing that all year. They just played Arlington Martin to 3 or 4 points the other night. I mean, Sam Houston's got a little something, and it starts with Tarrance Warren with them. Yeah,
for me, my GASO Gossip, 2 games. Like we talked about, Tuesday was a big night of basketball across the state. Lake Highlands versus Harlan Park 3. Obviously, these 2 schools, anytime there's a big game, it's going to be a sellout. And and once again down to the wire, double overtime game. You think a lot of time, like we were getting text updates when you and I were at DeSoto Duncanville, and like a lot of times I'd read that text and put my phone away and be like, "Oh, Highland Park's gonna win that game," and then I'd pop back up. Oh, now they're in double overtime. So wish I could have been there. And then the other one, Westlake Lake Travis, second game. Lyndon actually brought the live stream up, so we got to see the final minutes of that game. Just high level basketball right now, and we talk about. I'm a firm believer that if you get battle tested in district and you're able to make it to the playoffs, you know you want these type of games. So 2 games that I wish I were there for. If y'all keep subscribing to the Texas Hoops TV YouTube channel, maybe I can hire more people to be everywhere.
Right.
It's free.
Yeah, it's just
Subscribe.
Maybe hit the like, maybe comment something, say what's up to me. Hey, it's an algorithm. That's how we're talking about.
Well, hey. You know, let's go little taps here before I get into my UIL. But taps, Frisco Legacy, 25-7 overall, 7-0 in 5A District 2 tap play. Sorry, I'm getting my excitement voice on here. Head coach Cole Johnson has these guys going out there playing hard. They're playing fast. We got off the phone. I'm going to talk more about them on the newsletter. It was some write-up stuff. Sick, and he's proud of this. 6 to 8 seconds per possession. They have 75 possessions per game. That's amazing. That's of how they don't need a shot clock. They're not screaming for a shot clock there at Taps. They're letting it fly. Like I said, they're 7-0. They're led by Chase Collins, a senior, 6'4", 26.5 points per game, and he's doing it with being very efficient with 83% free throw shooter, 51% from the field, 38 from threes. Those numbers translate. We'll talk a little bit more. They're here in this the GASO Gossip part. Eventually, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to go watch them as they kind of just keep going. And finally, I'm going to highlight this just because I think that this is kind of nice for Dickinson Gators. You know, they're approaching 20 wins this year. They're 19-8. They're 5-1 in district. And through the first half, Jason Wilson and his staff send out a tweet with who's performing well, you know, in their latest games, and you know they're really helping their kids out by highlighting who's scoring, who's rebounding, and so forth, and they're a team that's just like kind of quietly in and out of our rankings, but they're gonna hit a streak here, I think.
And that's the thing about I know obviously the word gossip is like a funny word, but like. This means that we're like seeing social media. So when coaches, you know, you post top performances and your social media teams and do like that, we're looking to see that. So that's where we get a chance to scour the internet and kind of find this information and show y'all some love.
Yeah, and I'll wrap up this segment of gossip just talking about. I got to watch the second half. We were at the junior high showcase at Duncanville on Saturday.
You were where? Next Gen?
GASO Next Gen,
GASO
baby.
Next Gen. Big stuff coming from that channel, believe us. But was able to watch the second half of Atascocita versus Summer Creek in that rivalry matchup. And Kyle Morgan just, I mean, every time we see them, he's the guy that's making huge shots for Summer Creek. And then you throw in Bryson Wheatfall's ability to get to the rim and score and be that transition outlet for them. I mean, it was a huge bounce-back win. They did drop one to C.E. King last Tuesday. But, I mean, we're talking about a team that is just as dangerous as anybody in Region 3 with that 6A in Summer Creek.
Yep.
Yeah, and I told this to Mass. Mass is just he's not here today. He'll be back. His $1 Million Small will be back next week. But I was talking to Mass yesterday, and it seems it was only less than 6 to 8 weeks ago that we're in Houston. But we get to stay fresh because you know what? We're out here. We're watching games live, and then we tune in also to see all the on-demand games and to see as much as possible. And we are just trying to we're continuing to cover this state. I guess even little by little by this point in the season, but it's just there's a clear picture here of what's going on and are some talking points going forward with teams to watch as we get to playoffs.
So now moving on to our noteworthy games where we were in the past week. And Timmins, I'm going to let you start because the atmosphere at Forney just seemed like it was electric. Watching that recap video, Lancaster ended up with the win, but talk a little bit about the players and what you saw out of that one.
Yeah, so I'll set this up as saying I'm a very prompt person. So when I know I'm going to go, and I'm familiar with Forney due to
I know where this is going.
I'm familiar with Forney due to some previous relationships. So I know how to navigate, and I know that traffic's hard to get out there. So, you know, I get there, and listen, I get there and, at 7:30, 8 o'clock tip, and the girls' game is barely into the third quarter. So I'm like, oh, it's going to be a while. But luckily, the girls' game turned me up. The crowd was electric, big-time game back and forth. So that kind of set the tone. I'll tell you this. I got there at 7:30. Game was supposed to tip at 8. Didn't tip till 8:45. But shout out to the girls' game. Got us lit, got everybody turned up. But the boys' game started off with a bang. First time I was able to see Ronnie Harrison. He's a freak, man.
Yeah.
Hit threes right off the bat. Jaden Jefferson, Janarius Edwards are all three big-time in a back-and-forth game. Shout out to the Forney crowd. It seemed like the whole town, the whole community showed up. It was just big time electric. And then shout out to Lancaster playing in a tough road environment. They brought their crowd, but dude showed up. Amari Reed was as good as I've seen him. Yeah. Just it's so rare to see a kid like that. Like he literally wants to just rebound and just do all the dirty work, and he takes pride in it. Getting an offensive rebound, putting the muscles up. Joseph Mayberry, another glue guy and high level glue guy at that. Yeah. That was just in the mix, put backs, doing everything you need. And then Cade Douglas showed why he's their dude. He showed that he was able to be a closer. Ronnie Harrison and him were going back and forth. Ronnie Harrison getting big-time dunks. Then Cade and Ronnie Harrison meet at the rim. And I'll just say this, if you haven't seen the recap, Cade wins at the rim on that matchup. Just a high-level game, like I said, all the funny stuff about it starting late. There was nowhere in the state that I would have rather been than at 40 Texas that night. Yeah. We talk about a big district implication there now because you see Forney, Lancaster, Red Oak right there going back and forth. So we'll see how it shakes up. But like I said, man, one of my favorite games of the year. You can see that game recap on Texas Hoops TV YouTube channel. Yeah,
and Blue, Keller, Haltom, always a fun. Always going to be a lot of points in that one. Talk about what you saw.
Well, I think I was looking for a little bit of a track meet coming out of Haltom, but really what I saw was Keller slowing them down. And you know what? In a way, that also helped Kowalatak. Kowalatak, when he squared to that basket, man, that shot looks like it's going in. He did everything as advertised, shooting over the smaller guards of Keller, rebounding, blocking shots, being able to move, show his mobility with the help side defense of altering and blocking those shots and just getting up and down the court with ease. Keller came away with the victory, and they just do it with so much energy, and they're very fluid in what they do. Shooters all over the place with where am I here? I'm lost here. Parker Hanna, because I always want to say Preston. With Parker Hanna, Steven Ramirez, I really like. Even Robbie Flores right there playing around that 12 to 15 mark, catching and shooting. And then, of course, Brooks Barr, really good at just getting to little spots and hitting mid-range jumpers and doing what it takes to win. And talking to Zach Weir after the game, the head coach. I mean, he just said, these guys play hard, they play together, they're battling for each other each and every night, and that they are that as a group they just really like each other.
Yeah. And for me, we were both courtside last night for Duncanville DeSoto. And DeSoto, props to y'all, because Region 2 is wide open, like we've talked about. Going toe-to-toe, they were leading Duncanville in the third quarter. I mean, they've got the size, they've got the athletes, they've got shot makers.
They got the attitude. No one like we were there together, saw hop in. No one player has to be the dude for them, but they all know they can be, if that makes sense.
Right.
They were down in that game. They made a run, and you could just see that they were feeling themselves, and that's kind of that intensity you need.
They got the crowd into it. I mean, the amount of teams that have taken a lead on Duncanville this year, and I mean they play a national schedule. I don't even know what that number even looks like, but I mean DeSoto was able to do that. Was really impressed with them, but I got to give Eric Demings his flowers because he was that good last night in the first half, especially making shots off the dribble, getting downhill. Maybe as underrated as a kid as we have in the 2023 class.
I agree.
I mean, he's been special for them this year, and he deserves those looks because, I mean, as far as a program who's going to give you as close to a simulation of what college is going to be like, I can't think of a better one than Duncanville in terms of the prospects that they have in school there right now. I mean, it's a no-brainer for college coaches. You need to get on Eric before he ends up going somewhere above you.
Yeah, and then I mean Ron Holland was special. Like when
the
we
dunk show
talk
in the second half, man.
yeah, we give DeSoto credit for taking the lead, and then I'll give Ron Holland credit for saying
he
flipped it, man. Special talent.
Yeah.
And by the way, KJ Lewis was there, and I was like, hey, KJ, come do a kick in the courts out with me after. So that will be out very soon.
Got to plug his own stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, moving on to a winning streak that's notable. San Antonio Reagan out to an 8-0 start in district. Had a big win against Brandeis the other night on Friday. They're up to 15 wins in a row. I mean, we're just going to start highlighting some of these teams as we see them with these huge win streaks. And if you're one of those teams that we're missing you, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, comment
reach
below.
out to us.
You know, we'll definitely shout you out. You know, we want to spotlight, teams that have put it together in a big way.
Yeah. And Blue, I mean, you've seen Reagan a lot more than I have, but the unit that they have, I mean, they've re-entered the rankings in 6A this week, and I feel like they can stay there for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that where you don't have to be present for every game. You know how they're going to play, their style. I mean, they're being led by Aiden Richard and his 18 points a game. But what Coach Hurst told me at the beginning of the year, Luke Price is the guy that's going to be really pushing this team forward. Torn ACL last year, so missed all year, comes back this year, averaging over 16 points a game. He's on their leaderboard for everything. 16 points a game. He's one of their top rebounders, about 3 or 4 a game. And then, of course, he's throwing out the assist for the team, which is nearly 3 also. So there's a reason the culture just kind of works in just the winning ways. And if you're ever near that gym on a Tuesday or Friday night at home in Reagan, one of the best atmospheres that you can have.
All right, moving on to our team of the weekend, and I'll take this one. It was one of those games where you could just tell, like when you get to the parking lot, the size of event it was.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got Channel 8 there, you got the band in the stands, both sides packed. I mean, Dallas Carter Pinkston, number 2 versus number 6 in the GASO rankings was that special of a game. And for 3 quarters, we got that back and forth that I was looking for. Dink Pate doing his thing. Chance Puryear, was his efficient best, knocking down some shots. And then all of a sudden, you get to the fourth quarter, it's a 4-point game, and you get a Puryear dunk. You get a Daniel Thomas dunk. Kyle Givens hits back-to-back threes, and Carter breaks it open and just shows you why they are that favorite to make it to state with them and Oak Cliff Faith family. And really, for me, my evaluation is this: these teams, it's like Carter is 2 years ahead of where Pinkston could be, because with Carter you got those seniors and especially those juniors that are special, that are playing well, that have that chemistry. With Pinkston, you got a ton of sophomores, you got freshmen making minutes. I mean,
that starting 5 is all coming back.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
I mean, there's no reason that Pinkston. Obviously they're going to make noise this year. They're number 6, and with Dink Pate, they've got one of the most premier scorers in the entire state. But Carter seems to have that maturity, that depth, that kind of winning experience that's necessary to win these huge road games, and for that reason, they're that team of the weekend.
Hey, and it was such a top game because even Mike Leslie threw us a curveball, advertising that he was going to be there broadcasting the game from Channel 8 a week early. So we were, Mr. Leslie, you had us a little confused in our office trying to figure out when our next game was.
Right. All right, so moving on to our lightning round, wrapping up the evaluations of players that we've seen from the past week. Timmins, go ahead and start. The Cazales twins, Corpus Christi, London. What have you seen from them?
Yeah, they're just continuing to get it done. 2 twins, 6'3". They both obviously have similar skill sets, but they both get buckets in different ways. Mm-hmm. So seeing both of them on social media this past weekend doing their thing, 2 unsigned guys that coaches really need to take a look at. Know how to play the game the right way, but yeah, some of my favorites in that Corpus Christi area.
Blue.
Race her, Odessa Permian. Every single game you see double-digit rebounds or double-digit scoring. Always a threat to block shots. I've seen multiple games of 5 or more. Keep an eye on him. 6'10", senior over at Odessa Permian.
Yeah, and one of those freshmen I was just talking about with Pinkston, Bryce Dixon, making huge shots. I mean, on the dribble, pull up, getting to the rim against the length that Carter has, was really impressed with what I saw from him. Timmins, Justin Begg, always a name that's not far from these lists.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the SPC coming up, Houston Episcopal just beat St. John's, and Justin Begg was getting busy. One of the top 2024 point guards. Looking forward to see him when they come up here because I know our staff will be in the gyms.
Yeah, Blue, talk about Braxton Mesger.
He's over there, unsigned senior over at Georgetown, Eastview. He has them, I believe, 5-1. He's part of the reason why they're winning a lot of games there in the middle of that race of district. And also, he's averaging 9 and 8, 9 points, 8 rebounds, pretty consistent. He'll also dish the ball out, averaging 2 assists a game. A forward that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, and for me, the kid who most embodies what DeSoto does is Arrington Cooper. Was hitting shots, getting to the rim, just playing that hard nose. You're going to have to stop me or at least try to take a charge on me because I'm getting to the rim any way I can, and was really impressed with what I saw from him. And Timmins, go ahead and wrap us up.
Yeah, Devontae Durst, the kid that's been a part of that San Antonio Wagner culture for years and years, finally might have had that big moment last night beating Boerne champion, hitting a game winner. Huge shot, 5 3-pointers. Like we talked about earlier, that district race, but confidence going for Wagner now. And Devontae Durst, one of the top shot makers, bucket getters in the San Antonio area 2023.
Yeah. Make sure you follow us on social media at Texas Hoops Gaso. Subscribe to the GASOcast YouTube channel. Like and turn on those notifications. But that's going to do it for this edition of the GASOcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.